Okay, my review on the IC Graphite Thermal Pad and the Master Liquid Light 240 cooler. My experience, first of all, I'm going to talk crap about the Master Liquid Light cooler from Cooler Master because it uses the same clips that goes on to original AM4 brackets, which is a pain in the tail to mount. You actually have to loosen the clips because it was designed so badly that the clip will not go in at the angle, so you have to loosen them up from the board a little bit to get it mounted. And then once you get it in, get the two clips into place, then you can tighten your mounting brackets back down and tighten the screws to keep the pressure on the CPU die. Now, as far as the IC Graphite Thermal Pad goes, it was a pain in the tail because of this, and that is the only bad thing I'm going to say about it. It is lightweight as a feather, so the slightest bit of air will move it out of place. Whenever if you've got a cooler that you have to wiggle on, you can pretty much throw this in the trash because you'll never get it centered up. I ordered the 40 by 40 millimeter, which is almost perfect for AMD Ryzen. As you can see in the pictures that I had above, that the 40 by 40 is just a slight bit bigger than the 37.5 millimeters that AM4 um, lid is. So I trimmed it out perfect. Now somebody else did a review of this. I'm not going to mention any names, but the first thing that you read on the graphite pad once you open the package before you enter into the plastic, it says uh, application turn off system and remove sink. Duh. Thoroughly clean sink and CPU and GPU of all grease and oils. Place pad on dry CPU surface. Mount sink as you normally would. Restart system. So this means that the oils from your hands, that any type of thermal grease or anything would uh, mess up the performance. So with this particular person sitting there tossing it back and forth with his co-star, maybe putting a lighter to it to see if it conducts heat, I think it may have done some damage. Also doing a 30 by 30 pad and not being able to move the heat all the way out and spread it completely, I think had some problems with the thermals, because I actually see better performance with the thermals with the graphite pad than I did with my MX4 thermal paste. So depending on what thermal paste you use, you may actually see better performance with the pad. I would use this pad in the situation that I had a test bench and a good CPU cooler, like say that I'm doing several different types of CPUs, and I always put things down on my test bench before I actually finalize it in the case, which is how I like to do things, and so I'll keep it around for that. I would love to see how it works with LN2, just for the simple fact that with regular thermal paste you got problems with cracking and freezing and everything else. Uh, I would love for somebody to do a video on that, because I think that this might be the solution to stop from the cracking with normal thermal paste. But the pad is well worth it for the right applications and the right cooler. If you've got a cooler that you can set down even from the get-go and just tighten the four screws without having to do any sliding, this thermal pad is the bomb. It'll save you a lot of time. You can use it over and over again. As it says, with mine, it was a pain in the tail. It took me almost an hour to get the application, but it had nothing to do really with the thermal pad, other than it was more with the way the CPU cooler's mounting system was set up was just horrible. And by horrible, I mean if the engineers had designed it with about a half a millimeter more on each side for the clips between the top and the bottom, I could have slid it in there without having any type of trouble, and I wouldn't have had to loosen the AM4 mounting brackets. So uh, to get into thermals, these are the same temperature whenever I was using my uh, uh, it was the A240G by EK, the aluminum system. Uh, but I took it off because it was causing saturation with it trying to cool off the graphics card and the uh, video card at the same time. I didn't want, or not the graphics card and the CPU at the same time. I didn't want to spend more money on more radiators, uh, so I decided to go with this AIO. It's pretty cheap AIO, but I'm pretty much stuck with the motherboard that I've got for a while, and it's not going to give me the 4.2 gigahertz or better that I want until I get something with better VRMs, not without maxing out the voltage. So this was a perfect solution for me. But the CPU temperatures at max at 4.125 gigahertz went up to 58 degrees. The package node went up to 73 degrees, which I'm fine with. You can see I was pushing at a maximum of 1.406 volts when I was running Cinebench. And let's see, was there anything else? Yeah, the package wattage was a little bit over 128 watts, and there's my core speeds. Um, I was running DDR4 3200. Of course, this right here, it always reports it wrong. I don't know why. If I go into right now, matter of fact, I can go into my task manager uh, properties, and you can see I'm running 3200. It reports 3200 on everything but the CPU hardware monitor. All right, thanks for watching this video. I hope it wasn't boring as hell.